He was just 10 years old, holding a first-class ticket with pride, until a flight attendant ripped it in half and told him to sit in the back. What she didn't know was that his father owned the entire airline. This isn't just a story about a boarding pass. It's a story about assumption, dignity, and what happens when power meets prejudice. You're not flying first class. This seat is not for kids like you. That sharp sentence cut through the airport's usual hum of boarding announcements and rolling suitcases. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was judgment, served cold and without hesitation. Standing quietly at the boarding gate was 10-year-old Malik Dean, dressed in a neat button-up shirt, clean sneakers, and a backpack that seemed almost too big for his small frame. He clutched a first-class ticket in his right hand tightly, like it was a passport to another world. Because for Malik, it kind of was. He had done this many times before traveling alone between Atlanta, where he lived with his mother, and New York City, where his father worked. This time was special though. He hadn't seen his dad in over a month, and they had planned a whole weekend together, including courtside seats at a Knicks game and a visit to his dad's office, a towering skyscraper where executives wore suits worth more than some people's cars. But none of that mattered in this moment. None of that mattered to the flight attendant standing at gate 17. She was tall, mid-40s, with a polished smile that vanished the second she saw Malik approach. Her eyes narrowed. Her lips pressed together. "Where are your parents?" she asked curtly. Malik lifted his ticket proudly. "I'm flying to see my dad. He booked me a seat in first class." She didn't look at the name on the ticket. She didn't check his ID. She didn't call for the unaccompanied minor escort staff who were just a few gates away, running late due to a gate change. Instead, she made a decision in that split second. Not based on protocol. Not based on logic. But based on assumption. "This seat is not for kids like you," she said again, this time louder. Then, without even fully opening the ticket, she tore it in half. The sound of paper ripping felt louder than the entire terminal. Malik's jaw dropped. His shoulders slumped. His heart pounded in his chest. He didn't know what to do. He had never been in trouble. He had never been treated like he didn't belong. People turned and stared. Some gasped. A few looked away, pretending they hadn't seen. One woman raised her phone, unsure whether to record or intervene. But someone else was watching someone very important. Upstairs, in the VIP lounge overlooking Gate 17, Marcus Dean, Malik's father, had been sipping a cup of coffee while wrapping up a business call. He liked to keep an eye on the gate during Malik's solo travels, just to make sure everything went smoothly. He trusted his staff, or at least he used to. Marcus had built his life from nothing. He didn't come from money. He didn't go to Ivy League schools. But through grit, brilliance, and relentless work, he became the CEO and majority owner of Skylinks Airlines, the very company whose logo was printed on the flight attendant's blazer and splashed across the side of every plane she worked on. As he stood in that glass-walled lounge, he watched the whole thing. He saw his son being judged. He saw the moment that Ticket and Malik's confidence were torn in half. And something inside him snapped. The man who had once been overlooked his entire life was not going to let his son go through the same thing. Not today. Not ever. He stood up. He straightened his jacket. He tossed the coffee aside. And with quiet fury, he walked toward the gate, not as a CEO, not even as a customer, but as a father. Malik had been waiting for this trip for weeks. Every night before bed, he'd cross off another day on the calendar. He even packed his small suitcase 3 days early, folding his clothes exactly how his mom had shown him. At 10 years old, Malik was proud of how responsible he was, especially when it came to flying. You see, Malik's parents were separated. His mom lived in Atlanta. His dad, Marcus Dean, lived in New York City in a sleek, glass-walled apartment that overlooked Central Park. Marcus wasn't just a busy man. He was a powerful man. The CEO of Skylynx Airlines. One of the few black men to ever run a major U.S. airline. His schedule was always packed, his phone never stopped ringing, but no matter what, he never missed his weekends with Malik. Every month, like clockwork, he flew Malik to New York so they could be together. This trip was no different, or at least, it wasn't supposed to be. Malik knew the routine. The check-in, the escort through TSA, the staff member who walked him to the gate. He'd flown solo plenty of times. And he loved it. He liked the feeling of independence, of being trusted. But on this day, something slipped through the cracks. The airline staff escort assigned to walk Malik to the gate had gotten held up helping another unaccompanied minor whose flight was delayed. It wasn't a big delay, just a few minutes. Malik, thinking nothing of it, decided to be helpful. He grabbed his ticket, adjusted his backpack, and confidently walked toward gate 17. That's when everything changed. The flight attendant, standing at the gate podium, spotted him. A young black boy, traveling alone, holding a first-class ticket. She didn't ask where he was going. She didn't ask his name. She didn't check the barcode on the ticket. Instead, she made a snap judgment. "Stop pretending," she said with narrowed eyes. Then, in one quick motion, she tore the ticket in half. "Go sit in the back where you belong." Malik froze. The terminal around him did too. And just like that, the excitement in his eyes turned to hurt. What she didn't know was, this was his father's airline. And this moment? It was what the flight attendant didn't realize, was that the VIP lounge had a clear, unobstructed view of gate 17. And standing behind that glass wall, just above the chaos she'd caused, was a man she would have recognized immediately, if she'd taken a second to look. Marcus Dean. Founder and CEO of Skylynx Airways. A visionary in aviation. A leader known not only for building one of the fastest-growing airlines in the country, but for doing it with integrity, grit, and a fierce love for his only son. That morning, Marcus had arrived early. He had a conference call scheduled and preferred to be close to the gate when Malik flew in. He always liked watching his son board, even from a distance. It was his way of being there, even when protocols kept him apart. As he stood in the lounge, phone pressed to his ear, speaking to a room full of executives on Zoom, his eyes drifted to gate 17. And that's when he saw Malik. Smiling. Confident. Clutching his first-class ticket like a passport to something special. Then, almost instantly, Marcus's entire body went still. He saw the flight attendant. He saw her step forward. Saw the sharp motion of her hand. And then, like something out of a nightmare, he saw the ticket rip in two. Marcus's hand dropped to his side. The phone call went silent on the other end. His heart sank as he watched his son's joy vanish. The bright-eyed anticipation replaced by a slow, sinking confusion. Then the red-hot sting of public humiliation. He watched Malik lower his head, his shoulders sag. He watched people around him look, and do nothing. A few passengers gasped. One or two lifted their phones. But no one said a word. And in that moment, Marcus Dean wasn't a CEO. He wasn't a power broker or airline mogul. He was a father. A father watching his son be reduced to a stereotype in front of strangers. And something inside him ignited. He calmly removed his suit jacket. Tucked his phone into his pocket. And with quiet, focused fury, he walked out of the VIP lounge like a storm rolling down the runway. Not rushing. Not yelling. But with a look that said, "This ends now." About to become a turning point.